good night, good evening to everybody. So, this is the new live after some months. My name is Alícia Despertar Holístico, and today I'm inviting a special person, Moundir Zniber, who is a specialist in heart-mind connection, and he will talk about the new discoveries on science about this connection. And so I will invite him. He's already here. Okay. Let's see.
Let's see. Welcome to the people that are entering now.
Hello.
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 Hi, Moundir. How are you?
Fine, fine. Do you hear me well?
Yes, I can hear you well. And you? Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
perfect, perfect.
Okay. Everybody that is already here, please make us sure that you can hear both of us well.
Yeah, it's a pleasure joining you here and to have you again in front of my eyes, and I'm very happy to be part of this live.
Yes, it is. I'm very happy to host you here in my channel somehow, and to bring this amazing topic. So I'm very happy for you to be here. For the ones that doesn't know, me and Moundir were facilitators at a festival in Portugal, ZNA Gathering, and both of us assist to each activity of each other, and we were fascinated somehow with the things that we've shared. So you want to present Moundir to the people that doesn't know you here?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I think that I have some crowd that will join from Morocco. I will do it in English for them. So my name is Moundir Zniber. I'm from Morocco. I have different hats in my life. So in one part of my journey, I'm a businessman in the renewable energy sector, trying to promote infrastructure renewable energy projects in Africa. And to bring this kind of, let's say, needed projects to the world. And on the other hand, I try to give and share the knowledge I got since my youth, including, knowledge about spirituality and science. And my main objective in this work is really to create a bridge between, let's say, the last discovery in science and old spiritual traditions, because today we have all we have clear demonstration that they're completely linked, and I think it's a very important work to be done.
Thank you so much. It's amazing the work you do. I can also present myself for the ones who doesn't know me. I'm from Portugal. My name is Alícia Despertar Holístico, and I'm working mainly with women to help them to reconnect with their own truth, to follow the path of their heart, and to find their power within. So this somehow it's connected because I also followed my my path, the path of my heart. And before I used to be a nurse, so I used to be very rational. I studied all that is available on the nursing course regarding the brain and how it works, the human body. So after this, and I start to reconnect with my heart, I also start to study a little bit. But when I met you, I realized, okay, he really got deep on this subject, and for me it's amazing. So I would like you to invite you to share. What are some discoveries that you found out that you think are relevant to share here?
Yeah, thank you, Alícia, for this introduction. And again, it's a pleasure to be with you. I think what is important here is just to underline that science starts to understand the intelligence of the heart, and I think it's a knowledge that can be deeply transformative for us. of course, it's something that we know forever. I mean, all the old traditions knew and lived the importance of the heart. The humans have followed their hearts since their inception. But today we start to understand why and how it works. And this is quite fabulous because we can, by the mechanism of our brain and our mental processes, understand an intelligence that is somehow more evolved. That is the intelligence of the heart. So yes, it's not, let's say, recent discoveries, but it has maybe 20 years when the first doctor, he was called Dr. Armour from the USA. And I always say in French, it's very funny because in French we say amour for love. So, it was just a letter, a R between him and love. So we can think that he was, somehow destined to make this discovery. So he discovered that there were around 40,000 specialized neurons in the heart. So this was a breakthrough in science. And he called them specialized neurites. So it was neurons that were very, very similar to the ones of the heart, but with much more evolved function. So this was checked, it's peer-reviewed science. It was checked by magazines and scientists all over the world in all kinds of, let's say, publications. And this was really a very interesting discovery because we saw for the first time that there was an independent intelligence in the heart that was not directly linked to the brain. And of course, for the people that have studied a little bit spirituality and esotericism even above the heart, with all the NDE, for example, now, witnesses that we have, and there are millions today, near-death experience, we have figured out that there's something happening even when the brain completely stops. Even when the body is somehow, let's say in our scientific language, is dead. Is not more, no more blood running, no more, nervous system working, no more electrical signals in the brain, and still the human consciousness is experiencing incredible things. And the heart is also a kind of layer that is here since the beginning, because even in the inception of the fetus, when the first cell starts together, after some weeks, the first organ that is created is the heart. It's the first beat, and this is 4 weeks before that the brain starts to be built by life. So we can see that the heart is the first pulsation, is the first intelligence that is organizing the rest. And this is also what a lot of scientists have discovered. They have realized that somehow those neurons had a special way of working, and there were, after a lot of experiments, they realized that those neurons were commanding the ones in the brain. And this is very special also. And there's a lot of examples and we will speak about these examples later. But we realized that, yes, this intuition that, our mothers, our grandmothers, have spoken about, and our ancestors, that this intelligence inside the heart is speaking, and, some people in old traditions, they said that the intuition is the quickest information you get before your brain starts to work. There's an information that pops up. This is the intelligence of the heart. It's very quick. There's a very famous institute that has made some very interesting experiences with people on how their brain were, reacting, facing certain types of emotions. And this was very interesting because repeating the same scenarios, so just to give you, let's say, a little glimpse of how this experiment looked like. So they took what we call, I don't have the word in English, sorry. They took a person that they isolated in a room, in a black room, and they just projected, certain types of images and sound that were referring to very precise emotions. And when they did, at the same time, they were measuring the electrical impulsions in the heart. Okay? And every time they showed a certain emotion, they realized that the heart knew 10 seconds before what type of emotion the heart would be, reacting to. And they repeated again and again this experience, and always. So even we see with this experience that even, above space and time, that our brain understands, the heart is somehow, the intelligence of the heart is over that, and this is very, very interesting. So yes, this intelligence is here, and all the mystics, all the prophets have said, spoke about how to open the heart, how to let the God of light, the light of God, shine, through the heart. And even in some very esoteric movements, it's said that the soul, our essential, divine particle or being is a very, very tiny, tiny little point in the middle of the heart. It's like a mini black hole, where is located our essence. So it's funny to see, to build those bridges and to see all those correspondence. And I think today it's needed to better understand, so we can more, let's say, with more serenity, let this intelligence speak. And maybe I have spoken too much now, so I will leave you.
No, it's good. Thank you so much for your contribution on this. So I think, for instance, I think a lot of us has already felt this. I don't know how I knew it, but I felt it right before.
Exactly.
And I've heard testimonials of friends that are not that spiritual, are not that esoteric, let's say like this, but still they recognize, no, but I knew something was telling me. I remember a friend, she told me, I was driving and it was green for me in that moment, but I decided to stop. I don't know why.
Yes.
And a car came and she just avoided a crash and an accident. I remember she was telling me about this. It's also very, very interesting that you say that, because, for instance, in my perspective, according to what I study, and maybe most of us study like this, we learn that the brain is the main ruler of our life, that we should trust more the brain. It's more safe to trust the brain than to trust the heart. No? Yeah. And somehow, I think a lot of us sometimes feel a little bit lost, like I felt some years ago when I was following a path, but inside of me, I was not happy with it. It was not resonating on my essence. I was doing an effort to go for this path. Why? Because my parents motivate me to go for this. Society motivated me to go for this. All the rational reasons would make me believe that this is the best decision.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I took that decision. I was working as a nurse at the hospital, and today I found out that to help people, yes, is my mission, but not through nursing, through a hospital. That's my personal decision and my personal truth inside of me. But I do appreciate all the nurses that are working at hospitals, because they are very needed. So somehow, if I was being told about these new discoveries that you are bringing us, if I was being told about it when I had to make that decisions for my life, probably my path would be totally different.
Mm-hmm. Completely. We are in the civilization of the brain. So clearly, even what we call the golden ages of philosophy in Europe was a kind for me of dark ages, where philosophy stopped to be philosophy. Where philosophy was a quest for wisdom, it started to be a quest for the ego. and for just the masturbation of the brain. And sorry for the words. So this is the kind of civilization we have commonly built since 3 centuries, clearly. And if you take one of the most famous, quote of one of those French philosophers called René Descartes, he said, you think, so you are. So clearly it means that since then we have built, and philosophy is very important because it shows you, the patterns. It's specific patterns on which we have built our society. And one of the most important patterns is the identification to the mental processes of the brain. It means that since 3 centuries, the majority, of course, it started west because, and now since, let's say, 40, 50 years, it has infected the whole world because we are all thinking quite the same now. We're living in the same cities with the same stress, the same kind of system that is everywhere. And this identification to the mental processes of the brain is the real problem. And why is it the real problem? Because somehow it's a very, very narrow limitation of who we are. Simply, it's ignorance. Because it's very sad to think that we are just referred to our thoughts. It means that a lot of people most of the people that I have in my workshops and in my teachings, I see the same problem. It's a total identification of the I, what I call the I, so what people call me, and their thoughts. And this is the main problem. Thoughts is a tool. The brain, the mental processes are a tool, but they're not your global identity. So here we touch really to the core issue that our human civilization is facing today. And of course, we are much more than our thoughts. We see that we have a heart with intelligence, but we have also other intelligences. We have other bodies. We have energetical bodies. We have spiritual bodies. We are a very complex being that we have forgot how it works and who it is. And this is the main, let's say, dark ages where we live today, is this ages of ignorance that we have completely forgotten and, put aside our global identity, limiting our identity to simply thoughts. So, of course, if I have bad thoughts, then I'm bad. If I have good thoughts, then I'm good. I'm good. And it's funny because some people, they were just think, and, it's something that has been a lot diffused by people like, Joe Dispenza, that is very famous today, Dr. Joe Dispenza, or Bruce Lipton, and a lot of people in all this, let's say, tendency of the law of attraction and manifestation, etc., that, of course, reality is built by some, thought processes. And if you have a parasite thought that is repeating that you are a bad person, and it's just a thought, it's nothing else. It's just an energy that is moving, because at the end, it's all energy. It's all energy moving and flowing. So stopping identifying ourselves with those mental processes that comes, and are created by our brain is the first step. And understanding with our brain that there's another intelligence in the heart, it's a second step. So we can just come more simply to a much more quiet and peaceful intelligence that is the one of the heart.
Definitely. It's so important. You told about two things that I would like to comment on. One is this identification with the thoughts. So, for instance, some years ago, I thought, like for me, I used to be overthinking. So yes. I thought it would be impossible any time in my life to stop my thoughts and be able to start meditation. That was one of the things, and I think a lot of people still think like this. Most of the people, exactly, that we are just the product of our thoughts. And if this is my thought, then it's my thought, and that's what I am, just like you said. And the second one is when we identify with all the thoughts that are coming, we turn out a little bit slaves of them.
Yes.
Because then we think we are limited until what our thought allows us. And the more we reinforce thoughts, whether they are good or bad, about us and about the environment that surrounds us and about the people that surround us, the more we are reinforcing a belief system. We are creating a belief system. So if I think I'm a bad person, that I do believe that I'm a bad person, and I will have all the consequences in my life, conscious and unconscious, direct and indirect, from this belief system. No?
Yes,
So it's
it's called egregores. It's an accumulation, egregores. So it's an accumulation of energies that create a certain phase of reality. And you know, our thoughts are have the power of creation. And because we have forgotten, since young, I was asking this question to myself, and I had this intuition that our thoughts could have repercussions till the other side of the universe. There's no limit for thoughts. So imagine how much we're polluting today. We're speaking, you know, about the ecological pollution that is a disaster, unfortunately, and we are facing one of the hugest crises that never ever human civilizations have faced. Look what is happening now. But the worst is not that, is the pollution of our minds. This is the worst one. And I can tell you even more, that what we see as external pollution outside us is just a reflect of our internal pollution. But what we don't know is that this pollution is expanding and is carried out all through the universe, and maybe all through the dimensions also. A thought, like an electron, like a particle of light, its energy, it never stops. It gets diffused like a broadcast forever. And when we think about that, we see the world differently, because it's a very, you know, very strange responsibility that we have, being, you know, creators, being this, you know, incarnation of the divine spirit that has the power of creation. It gives us, you know, to think about our responsibility on Earth. It's a very important topic. And so when we understand that, of course, we see and we manage our thoughts differently. And if you allow me, the first advice I would give, and the first mistake that most of the people do in the beginning, is battling against the mind. And this is the worst thing to do, because it's a battle that is lost in advance. You cannot fight, you cannot battle with your mind using the same tools. It's ridiculous. You know, people are trying to fight their mind using the mind itself. So, you know, it's a completely lost battle. He wins for sure. It's KO, you know, it's 10-0. It doesn't work. So this is the first mistake. There's nothing to battle. There's nothing to battle. There's just to witness first, and secondly, to be in kind of a lover situation with our mind, even if it's shouting and it's like a mother, you know, wisdom tells us, the wisdom of my heart tells me, in fact, that we should see the mind as a mother sees a child that is behaving bad. How will a mother see a child? With a lot of compassion. And if you do so, if you create this relation that is completely different, that battling with your mind will start to be more and more quiet, like a children that is, you know, very excited, and withdrawing your attention from the child will calm down. So the mind is the same. If you use certain tricks, the mind will calm down. And when the mind will calm down, it's like a lake where was shaking with let's say rain and wind, and suddenly the lake starts to be transparent, and then you can witness the treasures of your soul that are inside the lake, like gemstones that you were not seeing, and that's all the process. So this is where the intelligence of the heart is much more subtle, because it's a deep connection. And we will speak how we have discovered in science also how this communication, works between the brain and the heart, because there's a canal of communication.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Just to comment before you bring this information, you said something about battling with our mind. And sometimes when we want to avoid something, we focus our energy to avoid something, in this case, the thoughts. And what I also like to share with the woman I work with is the more we put energy on something, it will get bigger. So if I put energy on avoiding my thoughts, the thoughts are getting bigger. If I don't want to think about this person and I put my energy, I don't want to think about this person, I'm giving energy to the thoughts about this person, or about the situation that I'm afraid that it goes wrong in my future or whatever. So the way that I used to, because this is a teaching of quantum physics, which I'm also passionate about. So the way I invite the woman I work with is to put energy in exactly on how they want to be, how they like to be, how like to put energy on what they want, not on what they don't want. And this is referring to people, to work, to situations, to things that we create in our minds and we are afraid that it will happen or not in the future. So it's never a battle. It's more, okay, take out your focus from there and focus on what you want. No?
Yes,
and like you said, using other tools in the body and everything, because the brain is just a part of the body, and we have so many ways to disconnect from the brain and connect more with our intuition. And now I give you the word again. Thank you.
Yes, it's one of the tricks. It's one of the way of doing it. But I like very much the way that has been taught by Lord Buddha, the one that has, Buddha means the awakened one from Buddhi. It's the divine intelligence. So he just teaches us observation. Because first of all, we need to learn how to withdraw from the consciousness of the mind and observe the mind itself. And we realize at this moment that there's something that is witnessing. This thing that is witnessing is consciousness, is our deep consciousness. And even the mind, when you're witnessing the processes of the mind, like you're seeing a television in front of you, there's something that is witnessing. It's the witnesser. It's the, deep consciousness. And this is, I think, one of the most interesting things to do, because we learn. There are patterns. The mind is following patterns. It's in yoga. It's very funny how they describe mind. So mind processes are described by what Yoga Sutra called vrittis. Vrittis are turbulence. Turning. And so, of course, I will not enter in all the details, but it's energy in movement that is turning, and those movements are the characteristic of what in India they call chitta, that have given chitta. And the definition of chitta, that is the mental processes that occurs through vrittis, for turbulence, is the exact definition in Sanskrit is a monkey that has been bitten by a snake and that jumps all around without any logic. This is what the mind do all the time. There's no logic. It jumps from A to D to K to L. No logic, just jumping. It's the process. So the more we will witness those processes, the more we will have what I call in my language self-knowledge. And it's the most important one. It's your own spiritual book. It's not something that you read outside. It's something that you learn how to read inside.
Definitely. And here you just made me remember about the same way, like the default mode network that works in the brain. The more we reinforce the thoughts, the more it will get thicker and thicker, and the more we behave according to these patterns. And then sometimes we are so attached to this way of thinking, to this way of behaving, that we think it's impossible to do in a different way or to learn a new way. But this is also our fear to go out of our comfort zone, to explore new things.
Yeah, those patterns are very clearly identified, the patterns of habits, it's repetitions. In neuroscience, it has been clearly identified that we have around one thought every second. It makes a lot of thoughts in the day. And that 80% of those thoughts are repeated thoughts since our youth. So the mental process, is being built in the child, and around 9, there's like a kind of crystallizations of all those processes, and we start to have patterns, brain patterns, mental patterns, and 80%, because you cannot, it's very hard to be aware of this one thought by second. It's very, very hard. So there's a lot of thoughts that we're not just conscious about them, but it's there in our unconscious. It's there. It's thoughts that are repeating, and they're repeating all the time, like a background noise that is never stopping. And also, the more we will calm down and connect, for example, to the intelligence of the heart, the more we will observe those patterns. And once we got the patterns and how they work, it's easier to get out of the patterns. And of course, as a spiritual seeker, I would say the best would be to get out of all the patterns. There's no patterns that are needed. The more we open up, the more the patterns disappear. And at the end is liberation of all patterns. This is the ultimate goal. There's no need of patterns. There's no need to secure ourselves with some things, with patterns, because it's because we don't have this feeling of deep security. We need to feel secured, and the human being has created by its brain all those processes and patterns to feel secure. It's very important to understand, because since human beings have started to populate Earth, the most deep fear that has been anchored, and the most deep, let's say, anxiety, that is there forever since we have been created as, I speak about the human body vehicle, is the fear to need something. We always have this feeling that we need more, that we don't have enough, that we are not safe, we don't have the needs that are provided by nature, by energy, by God, or can call it as you want. So this fear is very deep, very deeply rooted inside us. And it's very important also to little by little, taken out. And that's where the intelligence of the heart can completely open up, and be preeminent.
Definitely. And here, to illustrate what you just mentioned, for instance, I used to be this very rational brain person that I would like to feel safe and secure. So I would have plan A, B, C,
exactly.
And I wouldn't try anything different. And when I realized, when I could observe my attachment to these thoughts and to this way of behaving, I decided to cut with everything, like from one day to another. And this was like, okay, I'm going to, for instance, I used to travel so far in Europe to visit some friends. I was going alone, but I was always meeting somebody that I would know. And this was 5 years ago. I decided and I booked a trip to Costa Rica. I had this dream before, and I went to travel alone by myself, backpacking. First time out of Europe, and nothing scheduled, not a hostel, not a friend, nobody. And I wanted to cut with all the patterns, because I knew I had to try to do different, to try to achieve different results with my life. So this is just an example of what you just said. And regarding this, the fear and the control that we always need, it's what make us also to keep be to keep stay in the mind and trust the mind, because the mind will give us the secure, the safety, the
Exactly.
control that we
Exactly.
are expecting. This is known for me. This is all controlled. So I don't follow my intuition. I don't follow my heart because I don't trust. I have nothing where I can hold myself and say, oh, it's going to work. So we have to kind of blindfold to follow our intuition. What do you have to say with this, and what are the
Yeah, no,
discoveries that
thank
you
you for your, because direct experience is the best to share because it comes from the heart. So we are hearing your heart speaking, and it's very powerful. Yes, this fear of missing out, is the principal tool of activation of the brain. That's why the brain is so powerful, because there's this fear of missing all the time. So the brain takes control. Like you say, it starts to control all the different layers of our life. And what is somehow spirituality, if I can resume, in a very simple way, is simply faith. When you have really faith, you just have faith that everything is there, that you're missing nothing. And this is the beginning of spirituality, is when you realize that there's nothing missing. Everything is there. There's nothing to fear about. There's nothing you need more. Life is providing everything, and this is the change of paradigm that is needed today. We need to shift because we are all in a kind of civilization that is fearing, that's always missing, always have this fear of missing something. We have seen when coronavirus, the first weeks, I was really laughing behind my screen, seeing the whole world chasing paper toilets, all around the world. There was no more paper toilets in the supermarket. It's funny to see.
Good.
It's funny to see how the brain reacts, So first thing, crisis, I need to get the maximum paper toilets because I will stay home, It's funny to see these patterns. It's global patterns. It happened in all the countries of the world. So it shows us, it's indications on the level of consciousness we're still in. It's very important, and it's needed today to shift. There's a shift, you can call it the Aquarius age, you can call it the new age, you can call it the new yoga in the more Indian, let's say, philosophy or way. But we are together. We need to shift. We need to shift to a civilization where we will be in a complete trust, because life is providing everything. And it's fear and our mental processes and patterns that are separating us from this abundance that is in the universe and in life. We are completely abundant, creatures. There's everything for us. We can have everything, and we need nothing more than what is already there. But it's our brain that all the time creates separation. It's his job, That's why he's there, and he's doing a very good job. And just to maybe add some science, because it was the subject, of today. It's very interesting to see also how I will come back to the neurons of the heart, how they communicate with the specialized neurites in the brain. There's a kind of canal of discussion. It's very unique. So we knew, we hear since we are young, there's, in French, we also have expressions saying that, the heart has the reasons that the mind don't have, and the opposite. So, they're like, we have identified that there were two intelligences and they could not work together, because when the heart wants something, the brain wants other thing. And if you follow this one, you cannot follow the other, etc. And there's a canal of discussion. And what is interesting, there's a very, maybe the most advanced institute in California that is dealing with those subjects, have discovered that there's an optimized frequency where the heart and the brain enters in total coherence. And you remember, Alícia, I teach you the technique in Portugal, where you have experienced very quickly this connection. But of course, it's a modern one, but all the ancient, wise tribes and civilizations of the world did the same with their own tools, connecting to the heart and creating what we call in modern words this heart-brain synchronization or heart-brain coherence. And what's interesting, because all is sound, we come back to vibration, to sound, there's a certain sound that is very, very low. It's not audible with our ears. It's 0.1 hertz. And to give you an indication, it's the frequency at which the whales communicate, 0.1 hertz, very evolved beings. So when the canal of discussion starts to vibrate and to communicate at 0.1 hertz, we have witnessed a kind of alignment, coherence, where the brain starts to shine and to vibrate another way, entering coherence in kind of gamma mode, what we call in neuroscience, and the brain completely opening up with its electromagnetic field. So it's funny to see that we can measure those things, and it's happening. It's this ancient wisdom is not coming from anywhere. It's science is not something from the modern world. Science is how the universe works. If we go even more deeper, divine manifestation is divine mathematics. It's all governed and in a very logical and optimal way by science that is, let's say, above the capacities that we can understand. That's all. And some beings, they have reached a very high level of this science that we start to recognize today.
Definitely. You touch two things in these last comments. One of the things is to start to vibrate abundance, because
Yes.
every time that we are feeling we lack something, we are missing something in our lives to be happy, to feel fulfilled. We are vibrating in scarcity. And just
Yes.
like you said, as the external world is a reflection of our internal world, then if I'm vibrating scarcity and I'm afraid of not coming, of not having, then that's what I'm going to manifest in my external world. And this is for this to be grateful, to feel grateful with this, with everything that we have already, because we tend to focus our mindset on what we are lacking, what is missing in my life. And another thing about this coherence, I remember I did this exercise with you in the ZNA gathering at your workshop, and I could recognize immediately when I feel in peace with myself, where my brain is connected, like it's just like you said, when there is this alignment between heart and brain, I could feel an inner peace inside of me that I was like, oh, I know where I am. I know this place already. But for people that never tried, maybe they are a little bit confused how to find this coherence between mind and heart. And on the other day, someone was asking, and this is a common question that comes up: how do I know if I'm taking this decision from my heart or from my brain? Am I hearing my thoughts or am I hearing my intuition? How can I distinguish?
Yes. So that's a very interesting question. And what I can tell you is that when the intuition, the brain intelligence speaks, it's at the speed of light, more or less. It means it's so fast, it's occurring so fast that you don't witness it. And the brain starts getting up all the space. But the information, you got it, and we all get it. We're all the same. It's not true that some people have more intuition. No, we have exactly the same exact intelligence. And I can tell you in my workshops, when I do this heart activation and this heart-brain coherence, most of the people They never heard about that. They never meditated. And 99% they succeed to create this heart-brain coherence. What does it mean? I even did one time for more than 400 people and it worked. No problem. You know, it connects. It means that we all have this intuition. We all have this intelligence. But because we don't have the exercise and the habit to focus and to witness our mind processes, we cannot hear this intuition because it's so fast, you know, that we just don't see it. We don't hear it. But if we focus well, if we take some distance, you can see and you will witness that every time the heart gives you the information, all the time. It never stops. It's just that you're not hearing it. And if I come back to some spiritual knowledge, you know, we are speaking, you know, in Sufism, for example, that the heart, you know, is somehow always shouting, always speaking. And it's so loud, it's so present that we just don't see it. We are just, because we're ignorant, we're a little bit dumb, you know, we're completely closed. It's not because you don't hear it that it's not there. It's just that you're missing, you know, you're missing knowledge, you're missing practice, you're missing consciousness. But it's there, it's always there, it never moves. The intelligence is, and we have exactly the same intuition. So we can connect, but it pops up so fast that when there's something happening, we just need to witness this first information that comes. And you will see that this first information that your intuition gives you is always the good one, is always the right one. Always. It never mistakes, you know, because there's no brain processes, there's no reason, there's no thinking, there's no digression, there's no consequences. It's just an information that pops up.
Definitely. And for instance, I do believe that a lot of people were raised not believing enough in themselves, like with less self-esteem, less self-confidence. And for instance, I used to be one of this person. I was this person some years ago. And I remember, for instance, with my 10, 11 years old, I started to figure out what could I find in the dark. Closing my eyes, what could I see there? And I didn't realize, but only later after, around my 25th, I think, I realized that I was starting to meditate. I was with this age, but as I was in the age of identifying with my partners, with my people, with my friends in the school, I didn't want to be the different one. At that time, at that age, you want to be equal to the others, no? To feel that you belong. So sometimes something that we have nobody motivating us or giving us strength, like, yes, explore this, go for it, believe in you, go more deep. If we don't have somebody external, we don't believe enough in ourselves to follow and to hear this voice, this little voice. And the way I started to follow my intuition more was trusting in the unknown. So I would decide to go to this workshop, and I started like this without knowing why. My brain couldn't find an answer. Like, why am I going this? Why am I going this country? Why am I studying this topic? And why am I going to experience this thing? And don't like to not be rushed, because only the brain needs the control of, I know what is going to happen afterwards. So when we don't know this, we should also trust ourselves that, okay, I will find out when I get there, or maybe after it. After I come back home with my reflections, then I found out why it was calling me. No?
Yeah, you know, I will resume. It's okay?
The other one felt
No problem. So I can resume very simply what you said, you know, in a very, very simple way for the people that are hearing us. Just relax.
Exactly.
It's as simple that just relax, be peaceful, you know, and when you're relaxed, you're completely relaxed, you know, things happen. Because your brain is also relaxing, you know, and if you're in this relaxed and peaceful state, you open up and things happen, things get start, you know. So the best thing to do when you have all those questions, all those, just calm down, take a time from you, you know, just relax, take time, go shanti, you know, calm down, because we don't realize how much we are excited in this world, you know, how much it's intense. Because we're in it, it's going so fast, you know, it's going so fast. All our bodies are very tense, you know, the nervous, the sympathetic, parasympathetic, everything is tense, you know, because we never learn how to relax. People don't know how to relax. Meditation is first relaxation. If you cannot relax, you cannot meditate, you cannot observe, you cannot witness. So maybe Alícia, if you want, we can go through questions, because I don't have the screen but I saw some questions going down. Maybe we can open a session, you know, to the auditory and the people.
There is a lot of people coming. I will ask if somebody make a question to write it again, please, because
so you don't,
otherwise
you cannot see the old questions, because I see them. There's a lot of questions.
Yes, I see. I mean, they are up there, and if I start to go there, I can try. Okay, I will go for it. Let's see questions. But it was a lot of people coming in, so let's see when I find that so fast that we can notice that the idea came out of brain process. But I'm reading now from down to up, so I'm not sure what we were talking in this moment. Let's see again.
We're in the reign of Instagram. Everything is going fast. We cannot stop.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's see. It's coming up. It's too much to go up.
Okay, so please, we can open sessions of questions and answers. So we would be very happy to hear you.
I think for already answer mine. Okay. Somehow we answer her question.
So we already answered a lot of questions. That's a good thing.
I asked how to hear the heart, but I had the answer, as you say, it's the first intuition. And also I can also share this for me. How do I know it's aligned with my heart, this decision, and not only for my brain. It's also this enthusiasm and this happiness inside of my heart when I'm imagining taking this decision. It's some joy of the heart that comes out. So it's also a way to understand that this is also the heart calling and hearing the neurons of the heart, at least for me.
So we have a question from how how the heart-brain coherence can affect our life. So it's a very interesting question. So I would say it would not affect, because affection is, it's similar to infection. I don't like it. but somehow, I mean, clearly it brings alignment, and connecting and reorganizing, reuniting the different parts of ourselves is what will get us closer and closer from our primordial unity. So what does heart-brain coherence will bring in your life is to bring alignment, is to bring clear vision. It's to bring coherence in your movements, coherence in your thoughts, coherence in your words, coherence in your behavior, how you interact with the world, but how also you interact with yourself. And the more and more you will create this coherence, you will be in this alignment, the more and more you will open up to the sky, you will open up to the universe, you will open up to your true reality at the same time that you are completely rooted on the earth. And I think this is the next level of human evolution. It's a human being that is fully aware, fully conscious of his essence and his interaction of the world and his responsibility as a divine creator.
And I also would add that you will, in your daily life, you will start to feel more peaceful with yourself, more relaxed, more joy, more able to stop and enjoy your present moment, more more tranquil and more with a smile, not coming from your face, but coming from your heart. That's
Yeah,
what I would
nothing,
say.
nothing.
And a last question that I can see, what is the best way to connect with our heart if we haven't mentioned anything?
So,
Something.
I think I can invite you. I'm giving a workshop on the 24th of September. It's called How to Activate the Intelligence of the Heart. So it's 12 hours dedicated to this subject, fully dedicated. So if you can come to Morocco or you're in Morocco, I invite you to come the 24th of September. I mean, otherwise, in a very simple way, the first thing is just to connect. Close your eyes and just connect to the pulsation of your heart. Connect to your inner being. Feel relaxed and feel secured. When you get just this together, you get a first type of connection with your heart.
And I think this also answers a second question. How would you suggest that we practice this practice, and how often in order to achieve what you're saying? So you just answer somehow.
So there's a very interesting question saying, when our heart is suffering, what is happening? Maybe I don't see the question again. It's a very interesting.
One of my questions were, when our heart is suffering, can the brain help?
So very, very interesting question. Thank you for asking it. It's never the heart that is suffering. The heart cannot suffer. The intelligence of the heart, the wisdom of the heart cannot suffer. It's an illusion. It's your brain, it's your mental processes that are creating a kind of alternative reality where you think that you're suffering. There's no sufferance. Sufferance doesn't exist in reality. Sufferance is a creation of your mental processes, and you think your heart is suffering, but your heart is never suffering. It cannot suffer. Your heart is full compassion. It cannot suffer. So even if you have this feeling, we say, my heart is broken. No, you're broken. Your heart cannot be broken. It's a wrong feeling. It's your feeling of identity that has been broken. Because maybe you have lacked trust, maybe somebody has disappointed you, maybe somebody has violated you, and you think that your heart is broken. Your heart is not broken. It's your sense, your sense of your own identity, and the identity that your brain has created, because you think that you are this identity. But in fact, it's just a brain creation. I don't exist in front of you now, in reality. You're seeing a certain image of me, and your brain is giving you information. And as you see me, you have seen all the people that have populated your life, your experiences, and you have created what you call me, what you call you. And this is this mental illusion that is suffering. It's not your heart. Your heart cannot suffer.
Mm-hmm. And a last question that was, I can't see it anymore. It was how to break the old patterns of the brain. Now I can see the question, but yeah. How to break the old patterns of the ones you are not anymore, the thoughts.
Yes, I will continue because the same lady said, when you're living a loss, somehow the pain is still there. Of course, the pain is still there, but also, madam, I don't see your name, and I feel your pain. We have been taught to have pain. What if, when our beloved ones are just switching to another dimension, what if we were in joy? It's possible. There's no death. It's just that we have learned since our, let's say, first experiences in life that death was something that was to be hidden. It's something that creates sufferance. It's something that we should be fearful of. So when our beloved ones are leaving, we are suffering. This is a kind of pattern that we have created globally. But what if we were just in joy? Because it's a liberation. Our beloved one are getting in another, step of their evolution. Should be happy for them. And if we love them, this love connection we have with them is eternal. So we see how the education, and our mental, processes is, forging our reality and giving a sense to our feeling. We should be happy if we think, and I'm sorry, maybe it's difficult to say that, but if we really go deep in this meditation, we can feel the beloved one. They're always there. We are always connected to them. And this connection never dies, and we can feel joy for them. But if you feel joy for someone that is, under quote, physically dead, then the society rejects you. You're a bad person. You should be mourning. You should be suffering. You should be crying. But you know what also is the worst thing you can do, because you're retaining the soul. You're not allowing the soul to go through its initiatic process. So what you don't know is that by being in a mourning attitude, in a suffering attitude, you're just doing the worst thing possible for the soul you love. Because the soul, when it shifts from this vehicle to another one, to another reality, it needs love. It doesn't need people crying and mourning them. And what does it create? It creates that a lot of our beloved ones don't get this passage and they're stuck. So it's all a question, of our knowledge and our distanciation with life. And you see how our system is creating our reality and how we behave and how we suffer. I'm sorry I took time because I felt it was an important answer to give.
Of course, of course. Thank you so much. Well, the time was running. It's more than 1 hour now.
It's okay.
So
we are in a good, with a very nice crowd and very nice energy. We can stay there. It's not a problem. Thank you, Madam Mafdala Sousa. I heard you, and I felt her pain. It's.
Okay, so now I also can say a little bit more.
Yes.
I also would say that sometimes also this pain that we feel for losing somebody, whether if this person has died or not, or it's still there, but it's not with us anymore, it's also the suffering that is coming from the wounds of our soul, which most of the time, sometimes it's a rejection. I feel rejected, or I feel abandoned. And sometimes we also can feel abandoned by the person that died. And we were attached, or we are, when we are suffering from someone that is not anymore in our life, is an attachment. And also there is this big difference between love and attachment. So if I got into attachment, I stay there. I cannot go out. I need this person almost to survive. And if I don't suffer from this person, the ausency of this person, then if I don't suffer, I'm not honoring this person. So I have to suffer, because that's what I was taught to do during my life, to suffer, because that's the way to honor this person in my life. And most of the times we are just repeating these patterns that we were taught, no? That we learned during our life. And so the same is, for instance, if you think about this person, when in the case the person died, if you think about this person and how much she used to love you when she was alive, what would she love to see you doing now at this moment of your life? Would she like that you are suffering and mourning for years and years and not doing anything, not enjoying your life? Or would you love this person to celebrate up there from you, like, wow, she's enjoying her life, she's still there, and she's happy, and she's meeting other people, and she's experiencing new things. So this is just some tips that I would like from my own experience, let's say like this.
Well, thank you. It's very useful, and yeah, it's a very important topic, and I can tell you also from my observations and what I have seen of the world, one of the most critical points that we don't notice and the origin of most of our sufferings and our problems in our modern society is how we treat death. It's one of the main subjects. So what happened very quickly since we have been created, there was a certain way of treating death and treating elders. Elders, the old people that were close to the physical death, have always played a very important role in all the societies, learning wisdom to the new generation and transmitting this wisdom. It was like a positive circle. And so young people learned to see that. Young people, when I was young, I remember I was 4 or 5, my great-grandmother, so the mother of my grandmother, was called Lala Fatoma, and she was dying at the house of my grandmother, and we saw her die, and it was normal. And my grandmother explained us that it was normal, and she died, and there was no suffering for that. It's a normal process, and she died at home. So now what's happened with modern life since 40, 50 years is that in Occidental countries, we have completely put away the old people in, protected space out of our vision, out of our worlds, ignoring death, living like if we were eternal. This is one of the main, reasons of the problems we are collectively experiencing today, because we miss their wisdom. We miss their words. We miss their energy. Those old people should be in our houses learning us, should be here to teach us, But instead of that, they're dying alone in sufferance, in isolated space. This is the worst thing, that is one of the worst things that is happening, and people don't realize it. It's one of the positive, let's say, natural circles that we have broken.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and it's also associated to so this fear of dying also. It's actually associated to the fear of not living it all.
Yes.
Because and this is one of the things that made me do this decision to go and conquer my dreams, to go to travel to the countries where I wanted to travel, because I didn't want before this. I was working as a nurse in an oncology hospital here in Portugal, and I would see people dying each week in my hands. Exactly. I was communicating with their families. I was giving emotional support to the families. I was giving emotional support to myself. And at this moment, you have no idea how much I start to value my own family, my own friends, and the people that are important for me in my life. And also to accept death as a natural process and not going against it, not avoiding to talk about death, but integrate as making part of our cycle of life.
Exactly.
So the more we turn it a natural subject, and we also transform these limiting beliefs about death, because most of the people that are afraid to die, they don't believe there is an afterlife after death. So this is the fear of not, but they also, they spend most of their life with fear of death, but they don't realize that they are afraid, because what is my fear? To not really enjoy my unique life, if I do believe this is my unique life.
Exactly.
No?
There was 2 or 3 questions that, if you can scroll down to see. There was one long question in French.
This was blocked. Wait, let me. Wait. Okay. Oh, you want me to read?
Yeah,
okay, I was trying with my good French, with my not so good French. On ne peut pas ignorer le sentiment de la tristesse ou d'autres sentiments considérés négatifs. On peut être tous les temps positifs et joyeux. C'est comme ça qu'on grandit up down à l'image des bâtiments de.
No, so yes, it's interesting. So she's speaking about, let's say, negative emotion, about sadness. about cycles of emotion. So, of course, they are there, and we need to accept them. And you know what? The most wise thing to do is to hear them. When you accept an emotion, you accept that you can let the emotion express its message for you. Each emotion has a specific. It's like a delivery box. It's a mail sent by your own FedEx system that is sending to you a certain, information. But you need to open the envelope, to read the message. Most of us, or we throw the envelopes, or we just catch them and we say we hug our envelopes and we love our emotions, But this is not the thing to do. We just need to get the information. But what happens when you start doing that and you start entering in a process of purification, in a process of self-knowledge? What you can witness is that your flow of emotion is getting stabilized, more and more stabilized. When you were going from up to down, this up and down starts to reduce. And you start to taste the tranquility of this just middle, this equanimity of emotions. And the problem is that most of you are afraid of this equanimity of emotion. Because in our modern society, a human being that is equanime in his emotion, its balance with no ups and downs, is not a human. He's not considered as a human because he's not reacting. He's not getting nervous. He's not crying. He's not getting anxious. So he's not human. And this is one of the most difficult things to accept. So most of us, we go away. We don't accept to go through this path. But what happens when you balance this, flow of emotions and you reach this equanime states? Equanime means being, in the middle of your emotions, being balanced in your feelings. You start to taste to higher emotions, deeper emotions. Emotions of we come back to the intelligence of the heart, deeper intuition, deeper information, deeper feeling that is completely decorrelated from your being, what you call you, from your ego personality. It's more, you get connected to the universe, you get connected to, all the life that surrounds you. But the problem is that in our system, it's seen as something bad. And this is the main problem. It's seen. So I had this problem since I'm young, because my nature is quite equanime since very young age. So, and I didn't have a lot of friends because they thought that I just didn't care. I was just, Moundir, he's just, he has no emotions. So, but even if I was rejected, I really had the deep belief in what was happening to my process. So I didn't get influenced by the system around me. And I was very lucky, but it was also because of my will to get into my spiritual, let's say, path. But we need to be strong for that, because we need to get out of how the system wants to condition us. And once you get there and your emotion starts to stabilize, you taste to something that, in India and in yogi culture, they call Sat Chit Ananda. It's, this very, this deep joy of the heart that you start to taste. And it's not something that is reflected by excitement or by, ups and downs. It's a very, very tranquil force.
Definitely. And you made me remember about, this, I like to do some metaphors. The trapezist that tries to hang himself in a rope, and to start, he's very unbalanced. And the more he works in this balance on the top of the rope, the more strength he will get in his muscles, and the more he will be able to get the balance and making the rope stagnant. Yes. So I think this could be a metaphor for this.
Yes, it's a
because
very nice
most
metaphor.
of the people, they just want to surf the good emotions, the nice emotions, the comfortable emotions. And they're always looking for this. But then they forget that they also have to dive in the most uncomfortable emotions, in the negative emotions, in the bad emotions, to be able to surf from one to another. And when you start to learn how to surf from one to another, then you get this balance in the middle, that is this Shat Shit Anan, or the heart coherence that you are talking about.
Yes.
So, but the people are very afraid to deal with these painful emotions because they don't want to open the door
Yes,
of it.
exactly.
They don't want to go through it and feeling it, which is the work that I used to say that I work with my woman, the shadow work. It's to really look at the things we have inside of us that we are not proud of, and open that door to give light to it, to bring it at the surface, to observe, to learn how to deal with it, to transmute it, and then to turn it into light. And then you find this heart coherence.
Exactly, exactly. Thank you so much, Alicia, for your presence and to share your experiences and knowledge. Maybe to close this beautiful discussion, maybe you can tell us about your next activities for our audience. If you have some retreats or something's going on, and I will do the same to close. And yes.
Yeah, so so far, or the next months, I don't have an international event. Actually, I have. I'm going to,
Great.
and I can announce here. I can announce here. I was invited to go to Egypt for a women's gathering for a week in October. But this is from invitation. It's not open to everybody. The next events I will have to be here in Portugal, and maybe in Portuguese, maybe in English, I'm not sure. And I will start also my online program to work with women, to work on self-love, self-esteem, self-confidence, to find their power within, to conquer their own power, to find their potential online. So that's what I'm going for now. Let me know, or let us know what are your next
thank you,
activities.
Alicia, for sharing, and thank you really for your work and what you're doing. From my side, as I said, I have a workshop on the 24th of September in Casablanca. It's called How to Activate the Intelligence of Your Heart. And also for the international audience that cannot assist, I would like to invite you to connect to my YouTube channel, where I have a lot of kind of teachings, knowledge, meditations, music for meditation, mantras, and a lot of interesting things that are completely free of charge. So it's you just connect or to my Instagram page. On the link tree, you will find the YouTube link, or you just tap my name, Zniber Moundir, on YouTube. So you can check. And I'm sorry, there's very few things in English, and I will try to improve it in the future. Voila, and thank you for all. We had a great audience tonight. Really, it was really an honor to be here with you.
It was also a pleasure. Just to let people know. So you work in English, in French, and in Arabic, right?
Exactly, I can.
Okay. Yeah, you can, and I can work in English, Portuguese, and in Spanish. So
Yes.
if somebody are hearing us, now you know. So thank you so much. It was really a pleasure. I'm so happy for inviting you, for having you
Thank
here.
you, Alicia. Thank you, and thank you for the work you're doing in your country and the wisdom you're sharing. And for all our audience, I really invite you to follow, to close this discussion, and this interaction. Follow the intuition and the intelligence of your heart, and you will never will be deceived. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you so much. And also thank you for your work in Morocco and along everywhere in the planet where you go. It's really an honor to meet you. And again, thank you so much. And also to the participants that were commenting and putting
They
likes,
were very
everything.
active, very active. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you to all the audience. Thank you for your presence.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.